D, to review the paperwork received from the Cemetery Chapel Trust and to resolve, agree the way forward.
Right, so everybody's seen the Cemetery Chapel reports that came back.
Yeah, I think we can't go much further on that one.
So, well, this is what I've had feedback from a councillor. Regretfully, we do not seem to have received as much of the details as we had hoped. It would have been good for us to have details of what grant funds were sought and what the various positions were, should we wish to review that route in the future. Could I request the committee makes further request for this documentation specifically? It is noted that the condition report of the spires noted concerns of the metalwork and action should be undertaken. This was 2016, it's previously been debated and now we have the details. Can the committee review the safety of this structure?
I don't know what they mean about not having the grant funding and the appraisals, because that is in the
appraisal report. Unfortunately, some of the documents were bound and Ed really struggled to get them all into one document. So
you've got the project liability report,
well, some of them I had.
which project viability grant report, which goes through, it brings in all of the different bits and pieces that they've done. So their viability report, the costings, options of what it's going to be used for, and it also goes through other grants that they've received and how each option weighs up. So I don't know what other information the council wants, because obviously we requested documentation they had and all of the reports they produced in order to get the grants.
Yeah, I think what their person's after is just what the actual application was for and how much they asked for and who they asked.
Right, so they want...
I don't know if that is really our...
It's not our remit,
No.
it's their remit. That's what they have to... If he wants to ask them that, he can have the freedom of information request to them. That's not for us to ask. That's for him to ask them
It
directly.
has got a cost breakdown of funders in there. So it's got... in the project viability grant report. So obviously when they're applying for, this was when they're applying for their grants for the Heritage Lottery, they had to also provide details of other funders, what the amounts were, where the, what the grant was, etc. that they'd received or were requesting.
So we need so what we're going to do about the spire?
So the only question I would have, I would have presumed, because with the conditions report, it had A, B, C, etc. for the priority level. All of the priority A was to get more information on it because they weren't able to fully assess the spire. So it was not necessarily like it needed work, but they couldn't fully assess it and they needed to do that. With the dates, I would have thought they probably would have done that before they applied for planning permission, or before they were getting to that stage of applying for the final grant. So it might be worth just asking the trust whether they did actually carry that out before we go ahead and do it ourselves and pay loads of money.
And find out a date when they did it, because if it was done 5-6 years ago, then deterioration makes more urgent now. So we want not only if they did it,
And we need a
when.
copy of the report as well.
Yeah, when
so
they
did
did it.
investigate the spire?
Basically, did they carry out all of the ones that say A on them, i.e.
Yeah,
top priority?
and when it was, if they had done it, when they did it. And if we can have a copy of the report.
Investigation to all items A. If they haven't,
that is obviously our first thing that we need to do. It is whether we then wish to get an updated version of this report, because it's basically a list of all the work needs doing and approximate costings. So for budgeting purposes, do we need to get an updated version, or are we happy with this and we just basically start planning out what
Well, until
we're
we
doing?
see their report, we can't make any sort of decision on it, can we?
No, but that would only cover parts A. I'm meaning in terms of the other parts, so like the windows, the doors, walls, etc. all of the work that it details down in there, do we need to get an updated version because it may be something's deteriorated, costs have changed, etc. We need to make that decision.
Well, when was some of this, well, we don't know if they did it, any of that. Have we done any of that?
No, so the condition report that they did, that they've sent us, is 2012.
Well, it's got to be updated.
So
12 years ago.
the easiest thing, so first we need to find out whether they did the parts A that need doing for the spire, when they did them, etc. And then we also need to, if we're agreeing that we're going to get another report done, I would get a quote from the company that did this one, to see how much it would cost to update this report.
Everybody in agreement with that? Because
Absolutely.
I can't see a problem with that, we're getting the same company to do an update.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Chairman, I fully agree with that. It needs to be the same company doing the update, and 10 years is
It's their report that they can refer back and just...
There's going to be several different aspects of this that are going to come forward. One is obviously the deterioration of the building, further requirements, and two, the fact that the funding streams have largely dried up since that time.
And also, rules have changed, probably, you know, regulation, rules, whatever you like to call them, might have changed. So we want we want to be able to get an update which clarifies that we are working to the present regulations. Yes.
And then the only other thing is, have we gone any further down the road of the listed building consent? Because if we're going to do any of this work, you're going to have listed building consent. So have we got any further with that?
Haven't done any more on
And then the only other report that you may want to update, you've obviously got the condition report, but then you've got the viability report on the different options. Is that something you wanted to update, or are you basically going to go on their information?
Well, I think first we'll see what their information is about, and then we can go on to viability once we see what we've got, what we need to spend to get it into what condition. You know, I think we've got to do it in the chronological order, and one, to see what needs doing before. And once we get that report, say, well, if we put a bigger door here or something, or another door there, if we're allowed to, we can do this with it. But we need to have a next report first, updated. Yes.
Can we also get some pricing then for somebody to do a full application for listed building and consent as well, so we've got options? We don't know what we're going to need to put in the listed building, but we need to know how much it's going to cost us if we're going to have to go down that route. If it's too time consuming for our staff to do, or too complex for our staff to do, then we need to know, have a ballpark figure of how much is it going to actually cost us to do it, because we can't move forward until we've got listed building
that.
consent.
It's not a case of not having time. I will have time now, because we're getting on top of everything, but we've been on my own, and other things are more priority than...
Well, at the moment, I think we leave it in our client's hand, and if there's a situation where she can't do it or need more advice, get back to us, and we'll do it as soon as we can. But I don't see the point of spending money when we've got staff here that are likely to be able to cope with a lot of this work, you know, the admin work. Does that cover it?
Yep.
Right.
Thank you, Chair.
Is that everything on D?
It's a result to agree, isn't it?
Great,
Yeah.
So I propose.
One second.
All in agreement? All in agreement.
Thank you.